So what's going on, guys? My name is Mr. Dalek JD, and in this video we are going to be discussing something very interesting. About a week ago I made a video discussing the potential of a Zombie Chronicles 2.0 DLC happening for Black Ops 4 at some point in the future. Jason made a comment at the Comic-Con panel if there was any interest for a Zombie Chronicles 2.0. It's quite obvious that there is, and for a business move it would be a very smart idea, as Zombie Chronicles sold a lot and made Activision and TREYARCH a lot of money. Now, when it comes to the maps that have yet to be remastered for Black Ops Zombies that could be in Zombie Chronicles 2.0, 4 out of 5 of those involve the Victus crew in maps like Nuketown Zombies, Transit, Die Rise, and Buried, whilst the only map left is the map that exists in the Ultimus universe, which is Call of the Dead. Now, originally on Call of the Dead, we had 4 celebrity characters, and if they were to remaster it, I doubt that they would have the same characters again. We already have seen this with Blood of the Dead, where the original mobster celebrity characters aren't returning, and instead we have the Premise crew. But I believe that TREYARCH has probably already teased that Call of the Dead is going to be remastered at some point, and in this video we are going to dive into all the evidence that ties towards a remaster of Call of the Dead happening at some point in the future, and how that could work with our story. If you'd like to see Call of the Dead remastered in Black Ops 4, definitely drop a thumbs up on the video. Let me know your thoughts and memories of Call of the Dead down below in the comment section whilst we go through this video, as I'd love to see it, as Call of the Dead is one of my favourite maps from Black Ops 1. Now, Call of the Dead was the first map to feature actual celebrities fighting off zombies rather than them playing characters, and featured George A. Romero as one of the zombies. The map occurs in an abandoned Group 935 Siberian outpost, which features a shipwrecked freighter ship, a vibrant lighthouse, and a sparse coast, and also the Ultimus crew. But rather than play as them in this map, we actually help them as they are trapped behind a door. The Chronorium states that Call of the Dead happened on March 17th, 2011. After entering the rift, Ultimus arrives at the Siberian facility in 2011, where they find themselves trapped in a closet while George A. Romero films his latest project at the location. Samantha, in her pursuit of Ultimus, unleashes an undead outbreak. The film stars fight the undead horde, ultimately recovering the Vril device for Richtofen. Ultimus teleports to Shangri-La in an effort to acquire the next artifact required to defeat Samantha in the original storyline, the Focusing Stone. Now, the events of Call of the Dead as you play the map are not what makes Call of the Dead as important. It's the history of what happened on Call of the Dead, which hasn't been shown through the map and gameplay, which is why revisiting this map could be very, very interesting. As if you're not aware from the original timeline, this is when Richtofen first meets Nikolai and Takeo, but at this current time they are his test subjects. The Chronorium states that in July 15th, 1945, Richtofen travels to the Siberia facility, which is Call of the Dead, to do further research on live specimens. As her temporary guardian, he takes Samantha with him. Group 935 begins transferring 3 test subjects for experimentation: Nikolai, Pablo Marinus, and Takeo. The testing that happens at the Siberian facility, which is Call of the Dead, happens for quite a few months in 1945, spanning from July until the end of September, and during that we know that Pablo Marinus dies during experimentation and is opted out for Tank Dempsey. This is where Richtofen first documents the personality traits of all of the other characters. Dempsey's intellect seems low, but his will is strong. Takeo is staring at the floor, muttering what sounds like some kind of Japanese proverb over and over, and Nikolai recently began responding to stimuli, but only after injections of a new serum made primarily from vodka. It's this exact moment where the character traits of Ultimus are first developed, and this is all absolutely huge storyline wise, so it'd be really cool to revisit this somehow. Whilst I don't think we'll see this happen in gameplay, this is a fractured universe, so perhaps none of this stuff happened quite as it did. I don't know, but it's still really, really cool stuff to look at. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I believe that TREYARCH have already teased that they will remaster this map? Well, the first thing that struck out to me was when Zombie Chronicles released last year. It contained 8 remastered maps, and a lot of them from Black Ops 1 made it into the game, apart from the map Call of the Dead. Now, inside one of the Zombies maps, Ascension, there is a telephone Easter egg, where at certain times, at random, you'll receive phone calls, which come from the Pentagon, where the outbreak of zombies was happening and the map 5 happening, which confirms that in the original story, Ascension and 5 were happening at the same time. But in Zombie Chronicles Ascension, this Easter egg is changed. It's clear that this timeline is different from the original, and when the telephones ring in Ascension and you answer them, you actually hear the Ultimus crew trapped in the closet in Call of the Dead. This is already a paradox in itself, because we have the Ultimus crew fighting in Ascension whilst the Ultimus crew are trapped in a closet in Call of the Dead. It just doesn't make sense really, does it? And here's a few of the phone calls that you can hear inside of Ascension.
Remember, if you have to go to the party, I have designated this corner the party corner, meaning that if you have to party in a corner, this would be the corner that you would party in. Number 1 or 2 is acceptable.
Wait, my eyesight is clear. My hands do not shake. I can form coherent thoughts. I'm sober!
So yeah, that is pretty unexplainable, and the timeline doesn't mention anything of it. Clearly we're playing in a fractured universe of the original timeline, and since we are in a fractured timeline, that's why we have the map classified, where the Ultimus crew are going to be present in the Pentagon before the events of 5 happen, which didn't happen in the original timeline. Now with Blood of the Dead and Classified, these are 2 maps which are not being remastered, but they're being remade for a narrative purpose. There's only one Zombies map left in the era of Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, which is yet to be remastered involving the Ultimus crew, which is Call of the Dead. It would make absolute logical sense narratively for us to see an alternative Call of the Dead happen, as it sounds like the events of the Ultimus timeline are different within this fractured universe. I mean, it's definitely different if normally on Ascension 5 is happening at the same time, but clearly 5 is not happening at the same time as Ascension, as instead Call of the Dead is happening. Things are happening very differently and almost very wrong. And all these things happening differently could ultimately end up with this comic loading screen finally making some sense, but we'll talk about that in another video. Now, if Call of the Dead was to be remastered, I think it's a given that we wouldn't see the actors there within the map as playable characters, nor would we really see George Romero. It would be an entirely different map altogether. In the timeline, what happens is after Call of the Dead happens, the entire cast and crew of Call of the Dead disappear. We don't know exactly if they are all killed by the undead. We assume that to be the case, but the only remaining survivor is George Romero's assistant, Sally, who begins researching to find her boss, but her journey somehow leads her to Shangri-La during an eclipse, which sends her back in time to April 25th, 1956. From this point onwards, there is no further mentions of Sally, but she is in Shangri-La on the exact same day that the Ultimus crew teleport from Call of the Dead into Shangri-La. But unfortunately, she is also trapped in a infinite loop, just like the original explorers Brock and Gary who discovered Shangri-La, which you can hear on Revelations through these radio messages here.
It's been 6 weeks since and the rest of the Call of the Dead cast and crew went missing. Hollywood's lost its fucking mind with this story. An entire production vanishes? Crazy talk. I told this is why you don't shoot in Siberia. So with agent on line 1, manager on line 2, I needed to sort this quickly. I'd rather have zombies come for me than an agent. That's real horror. I don't need that. I started going through his research, and good fucking lord, this is a confusing mess. So much shit about time travel, different dimensions. Honestly, I'm not even sure what he was getting into. You can make this stuff up. A mad German scientist, a foul-mouthed American, a drunk Soviet, and a warrior Japanese soldier, all working together? So I started with a simple one. Something about 2 guys named Brock and Gary looking for Agartha. They finished like did. Figured I'd start there. Next thing I know, I'm in this jungle, and it's hot and humid, and the sky goes black. Like, dark black. I look up, there's an eclipse, and these things start chasing me. Like zombies. Trust me, I I know how it sounds. I've been fighting them so long now. I should be dead. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have died. But it just keeps going. I've started setting up these traps. Pretty damn proud of them, if I do say so myself. Wait, I hear something. Come on, just a little closer. Ugh, finally. Sorry, the only thing more annoying than the undead are those two guys, whoever they are. Anyway, I've been trying to get some bars on myself for days, and I'm having no luck. I swear, if I die a few more times, I may actually lose it. At least then I'll have those agents off my back.
All very crazy, and just to add even more confusion, Ascension happens November 6th, 1963, the same day that 5 happens, but Call of the Dead happens in 2011. So somehow the characters in Ascension in 1963 are getting phone calls from themselves in 2011. It just makes no sense, and this is a big story plot which TREYARCH could have some fun creative freedom with when it comes to explaining this fracture of the Ultimus timeline. Now, I did also mention in this video that TREYARCH were hinting that Call of the Dead Remastered would happen at some point down the line, and I'm going to show you what I mean. And about a week ago, I made a video talking about how Richtofen may actually have to sacrifice himself within Black Ops 4, and more importantly, how TREYARCH have hinted this 3 years ago, and Call of the Dead Remastered may have also been a possibility which they hinted at 3 years ago. Back in 2015, TREYARCH's Mark Lamia held a talk at the DICE Summit to talk about the creative process of zombies, and throughout that, TREYARCH even mentioned afterwards that there were over 50 different Easter eggs and teasers that they littered throughout it, and for a split second before this image gets covered over, you can see an amazing shot from Call of the Dead. It's 1,000,000% Call of the Dead because you can see a massive lighthouse as well as a carrier ship just on its side and the iconic zipline which was part of Call of the Dead. Now this could just be really beautiful concept art, but as with the Richtofen sacrifice teasers, they are on screen for literally a frame if that, and this is the exact same scenario. You see this only once before it gets covered over by an image of Mark Lamia being eaten by zombies, and it's really intriguing because this shot has never been released publicly by TREYARCH. May I also remind you that in this summit they also showed us the giant loading screen as well as a image of a wall buy from the giant 4 months before the giant was even announced, even before Black Ops 3 was announced, and they also show the Call of the Dead loading screen. Not that this one looks any different to the original, but still it does look a lot nicer and a bit more detailed, and some of the other teasers throughout this make it look like that they were redrawing the original loading screens to up-res them for the eventual release of Zombie Chronicles. So I'm going to leave this in your hands, guys. What do you think? Pretty concept art or a possible look at what a remastered version of Call of the Dead could look like? It looks so much nicer than any other images of concept art we've ever seen for Call of the Dead. Even back during the days of World at War Derice, on the boards inside that map, you could see an image of Call of the Dead, which was the first teaser image we first saw of Call of the Dead. This artwork of Call of the Dead makes it look like a completely different map. The skybox is incredibly different and gives the map a sort of nighttime eerie edge vibe, which the map doesn't originally have. There's also quite a few sort of illuminated lights scattered around the lighthouse and the edges near to the spawn area, which were never there in the original map. I'm probably about 65% convinced that this is indeed a look at what a remastered Call of the Dead could look like. And with this and the radios we hear in Ascension, it's completely sold me that TREYARCH are going to eventually fully remaster Call of the Dead. But I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think there is a possibility for TREYARCH to remake Call of the Dead and add a completely different narrative perspective to it, just like they are doing with Mob of the Dead and 5 in Black Ops 4? It just makes so much logical sense to complete all of the Ultimus maps by re-involving Call of the Dead, possibly even rewriting it to be a completely different story, but bring back the map which people have a very, very fond memory of. Let me know down below. We could all be wrong and we might never see Call of the Dead, but I'm pretty sure that if they were to do a Zombie Chronicles 2.0, Call of the Dead would probably be one of the maps featured, but I feel like the map is special enough for them to bring it back with a different take on things, just like we're getting with Blood of the Dead. If anyone told us 5 years ago that Mob would be remade with the Origins characters, I'd say you're lying. But with Black Ops 4, TREYARCH are really changing things up, and this could happen. I want it to. We don't know if it will, but I really, really hope so. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like rating, if you managed to stick all the way to the end, because you're freaking awesome. You can check out these 2 videos on screen if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time.